Hello and welcome to Thinkific's Teach Online TV. My name is Tyler Basu. I'm the content manager for Thinkific, which is the most trusted online course platform to help you create and sell courses to grow your business. Now, I have a very special guest on the show today. We are live on Facebook right now, and with over 15 years of experience as an entrepreneur, this individual has become known as the guy who helps entrepreneurs scale their business to 6-7 figures and beyond. He's been featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur, Success Magazine, Inc. Magazine, Fortune Magazine, and now Thinkific, which is pretty cool. So Scott Oldford, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the call today. This is going to be a pretty fun time. We got a lot of questions for you, so thanks for being here.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to hopefully if you're listening to this and you're a course creator, doesn't matter if you're just starting out or you got some momentum. Hopefully you can kind of leave today with some nuggets to be able to kind of go back and apply to your own course and your own business.
I'm pretty excited. And just a quick reminder, this is a live call. So if you have questions for Scott and you're watching this on Facebook, you can leave your questions in the comments below. I'll be keeping an eye on the questions. Other people on the team will be keeping an eye on those questions. We'll try to answer them right here. And if you happen to be watching this recording after the fact, you can still ask some questions. Drop them in the comments. Again, our team at Thinkific will be keeping an eye on that, and I'm sure Scott will as well. And make sure you stick around to the end of the video because we have some special bonuses to give away for those of you who watch the entire session with us. And on that note, we're going to jump right into it. So Scott, before we did this call, we reached out to our customers. We said we were going to do this call with you, and we asked them what they wanted to ask you. So we ended up with close to 200 submissions, lots of questions for you. We're not going to go through 200 questions right now, but I've kind of cherry picked about 40 or 50 of them. We'll probably get a few more on Facebook itself. But just from going through those questions, the general consensus or the vibe that I felt from our customers, and keep in mind, these are people that have an online course. They're experts on their area of expertise. This could be anything from graphic design to coding to hula hoop dancing, whatever the case is. But most of them are not quote unquote experts at online marketing. So there were a lot of questions around how do we market our courses, how do we sell our courses, how do we generate leads, that kind of stuff. So again, the consensus was a bit of feeling of overwhelm. Like, this is a big topic. We see a lot of hype, a lot of different ways to market courses. And so it can become a little bit confusing what to actually implement, what to actually do. So my first question for you, this one comes straight from me actually, is what is the biggest challenge that online entrepreneurs and course creators are facing when it comes to marketing and lead gen? Like, what's causing this overwhelm that so many of them feel?
I mean, I think overall, we're in a society now where, behavior has changed. Human behavior has changed drastically. Attention is the new currency. And so we're at a place where, you're, this person that has this knowledge, that has some type of level of expertise, and you've created a course and you have this little tiny signal, and your job is to be able to get as much attention towards that signal as you possibly can, right? That is marketing. And so your job is to be as relevant as possible to, as many people as possible, so that you can, of course, sell your program or sell your course. So, I mean, there's a couple of things that come to mind right from the get-go. Number one, the easiest way to market something is to, sub-niche as much as you possibly can, so that you are becoming the kind of dominant source or the dominant, program that somebody refers to, that somebody actually thinks of when they have a certain pain or a certain problem. When it comes to actually being able to take someone from completely not knowing you to bringing them to a place where they see your course as a solution so that they can fill their gap, this really comes back to ensuring that you have created a marketing experience, that you've been able to create a marketing experience right from the moment that you're allowing someone to understand that they have a pain, to the moment that you show them the process where they can solve this pain, to then the moment where they see that here is a solution, here's a way that I can actually kind of fill that gap and have the new life or the new reality. Now, obviously, that depends upon if you're teaching someone how to knit, versus how to, I don't know, look after your dog, versus, how to grow your business, or how to, do financial services. Or, I saw someone today, they bought one of our courses, and they actually train people how to manage snakes, which I didn't even know that was a thing, right? And so for every single situation, it doesn't matter what you're selling, you're always looking at where is someone's pain, where is their vision, where is the gap, and then of course, what is the commitment to being able to deploy the solution that you have, right? So that is really marketing 101. You want to be as relevant to the right person at the right time in the right mindset, so that they're going to push the buy button, which of course is getting more and more and more difficult. But if you're watching this right now, the beautiful thing is it's not that it's too late. We're in an industry that is booming, and it's going to continue to do that. But you had to be very focused on who your customer is, and you had to be very focused on what transformation are we creating, because we're no longer in the knowledge economy, we are in the transformation economy. And your course is about creating and helping someone implement and deploy a transformation in their life or their business or their relationship.
That's a really good point. I mean, nobody buys a course for the information itself. They buy a course for the transformation that they expect that course to help them accomplish. Now, this is a good transition into like the journey that a customer goes through, because I mean, as you know, there's different stages that a buyer will go through, from like just becoming aware of the problem, to actively searching for information, to being ready to buy. And I think perhaps a mistake that a lot of people make is in their marketing, they're trying to jump straight to the sale. Coming from a sales background, I was taught that it takes many touch points, sometimes many different communications with a potential customer over time before you get that sale. So what can you just speak a little bit to the importance of accommodating that reality with our marketing, and not just trying to market to the people who are like ready to buy right this second, but working a little bit backwards from there and creating marketing that draws in people who are not quite ready, but you help them guide them to become ready?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're listening to this, more than likely you don't have $100,000 marketing, like a monthly marketing budget, right? And so the traditional way of marketing is going right to the, the sales page, or going right to the webinar. And unless you're in a really weird niche, or you're in a really kind of obscure place in the world that doesn't have a whole lot of competition, that really is going to be difficult to work, because somebody, number one, has to see a pain as being relevant. Number two, they need to accept that pain is theirs. Third, they need to understand the process or mechanism for the road of redemption. And then fourth, they need to make the choice that they are ready to accept that road of redemption. And then they have to accept that new reality is theirs. Okay? So what that really means is that inside of our marketing, we talk about this from a perspective of what we call the sidewalk, the slow lane, and the fast lane, or the SSF method for short. And so essentially what the SSF method is allowing us, someone that's in the sidewalk, our message to that person is, hey, have you ever thought about this before? Is this pain relevant to you? And then in the slow lane, it's here is the mechanism, or here is the process that you can apply. And then in the fast lane, here is the solution, and here's how I can help you. And most people go for the fast lane. Problem is, because it's so expensive to go for the fast lane, most people are never able to get enough people to buy their stuff, get to buy their program or their course. And because of that, they essentially never are able to grow quickly.
So you recommend it's more cost effective to go after the slow lane, or the people who are not ready to buy yet, but with your help, you give them some education, you guide them to eventually being ready to make that decision. What are your thoughts on when it comes to the sales process itself, and it's time for you to present your course? And there's different ways you could do that. You might do it on a webinar, you might do it on a phone call, you might do it in an email, for example. Like, do you have any guidelines for which particular mechanism is appropriate based on perhaps the type of course we have or the price of our course or so on?
Well, the higher the intimacy, the more, the higher the price, the more intimacy that's required. So, basically anything that's above $300 or $400, or anything below $300 or $400, you can use kind of a video or a video sales letter or a sales page. Once you get past that, it's really webinars up until about $2,000, and then you're going to want to get people on the phone. Okay. Now, I do a lot of video sale letters. Okay. But I've been doing this for a long time, and I have a lot more trust in my marketplace, where I can kind of get away by recording a 20-minute video in my studio, putting it online, and getting $1,000, $2,000 sales from that. My recommendation is below $300 or $400. You do a sales page or a video sales letter. About $400 or $500 to $2,000, maybe even $1,500 is a webinar, and then above that, of course, is a phone call. If you're starting out, though, get on as many. It doesn't matter if it's even a $300 product. A lot of people go online and it's like they're antisocial. The more people, when you're starting out, the more people that you can be on a phone call with, the better your message is going to get, the better your understanding of objections, the more sales you're going to get. Simply because, I always say this, it doesn't matter what your program costs, your first 100 customers, you want to be on the phone with every single one of them. Right? Because you want to understand, you want to get inside their head, because you have a perception of what your market is and who your market is. And then here's our actual market, and here's who they actually are. And the only way we actually really understand who they are is by, of course, ringing up the phone, getting in the room with them, talking to them. And a lot of people skip that step. I think
that's definitely a really important step. I mean, even if you don't get the sale as you're making those calls, it's like free market research for you. Like having conversations with your target market can be super valuable. It might even help you to create your course. It might even help you make changes to your courses and absolutely make changes to your marketing. So Scott, we're gonna jump into some of these questions. As I said, we had a lot of questions submitted from our audience. I see some already on the video, and I've got some in front of me here. So we'll try to get through as many of them as we can. I don't think we're going to get through all of them because, like I said, we did get quite a few questions. But this first one comes from Mary Rose. She would like to know, should you build an audience first and then make your course, or should you make your course and then go try to market it and build your audience? What are your thoughts on which one should come first?
Chicken and the egg. It's really interesting. I personally, kind of went and I sold my program before I ever, our main kind of core product, we've sold, I don't know, maybe $3 or $4 million worth of our LeadCraft program. I had 22 people that I basically closed via the phone, right? No Facebook ads, no audience, no email list, no nothing. I had 22 people pay me $1,099, and then I built a program with them over 12 weeks, okay? And if I had my time back, I probably would have charged more. If I had my time back, I definitely wouldn't have built the audience first. There's sort of two ways to look at this. The problem with building the audience first is the fact that you don't really know if your audience is going to want what you're actually going to develop. Secondarily, it takes a lot of time and you don't have a lot of money, right? And so money is momentum. The more money you have, the more oxygen you have to build a business. So I'm always looking at, how can I get money in my hands as quickly as possible? How can I get cash flow as quickly as possible? And I think for most of the part, if people focused more on selling and creating content, selling and content, instead of just, audience building and just, having an email list at the beginning, they will get far more momentum right from the get-go. Because, I guarantee you, if you talk to, let's say even if it's 100 people, if you talk to 100 people, 15 or 20 of them are going to say yes to your course or whatever it may be, right? And so I think a lot of the time, me personally, if I had to start out with zero again, I would be like, okay, here's my unfair advantage. Here's what I can offer a market. Here's who my ideal audience is. And let's go on the phone. Let's figure out some way to be able to get people on the phone with me to be able to sell this so I can get some cash in the bank. So that's not to say that that's the only way to do it. But me personally, that is how, if I was starting out with no money, I would do it. Now, if you're starting out, you got some money, you're already established, everything else, that's slightly different. It's slightly different because of the fact that you already have some money so that you can get momentum quickly. Again, I'm all about, I want to be able to get in a market, validate it, understand it, and profit from it as fast as possible. And if I can't do it in less than 90 days, if I can't have something out there that's profitable and that's actually working in 90 days, me personally, I know that there's something wrong.
So in the case where you don't have an audience yet, or you don't have an email list sort of thing yet, how would you get those conversations happening in the first place? Like, how did you go out and get some of those phone calls without having a big audience to tap into?
I mean, when I reached out to people, I literally just went through my Facebook friends list and started, messaging people on Facebook, and not in like a pitchy way, just like, hey, I'm doing something cool. Would you like to have a conversation about it? Super, super, super. And I think a lot of us have a big enough network just on Facebook or LinkedIn to do some cold outreach on that. Is it as effective? Is it as sexy as Facebook ads? Or, I spend 6 figures a month on paid advertising. Is it as sexy as that? Of course it isn't. But you know what? You got to start somewhere, and you got to give your highest ability of chance that you're going to succeed while spending the least amount of money when you're starting out.
And then later on, once you've proven that your program works, that you're getting sales, you've got revenue, now you've got money to invest in the more sexy type marketing stuff. Next question comes from Jess. Is it smart to offer a free mini course or a free email course to entice people to purchase a paid course?
I don't like the positioning of a mini course or a free course. I like the positioning of a challenge. Okay. And I think we're actually, and you guys can take a look at this. We have a free challenge that we do, a 5-day challenge, and that's generated us millions of dollars in revenue. The problem with the course, or the problem with any type of content, you don't want to get too tactical, right? If you get too tactical, if you get in the weeds of things and all this stuff, you're going to lose someone, right? As soon as you lose someone's attention, they're never going to give you their wallet, right? As soon as you lose their attention, so basically the idea behind this is being able to move someone from the sidewalk to the slow lane to the fast lane through those buyer awarenesses as quickly as possible, while building a trust and authority, and not giving them too much information, right? Because, if you look at it, typically 45-minute webinars will always outperform 2 or 3 hour webinars, because a 45-minute webinar gives enough information where the person feels informed, but not enough information where the person feels like they're going to be able to do it themselves. And this isn't about, withholding information. This is about, as a business owner, our job is to be able to help as many people as possible. And, it's not about us withholding the information to be like, oh, they're not going to buy from you or whatever. But we know that their transformation has the highest likeliness of being able to be successful, so they go from X to Y if they buy our program, versus trying to figure it out themselves and wasting a ton of time. So it's in our best interest, and the person's interest on the other side, to be able to buy from you and become a customer of you, because that allows you to serve them at a higher level.
Okay, no, that's awesome. So with like the free training or the free challenge that we put out there, maybe we're focusing on like why they should do that or what to do, but not necessarily how, and not the tactics just yet. And that's obviously what your course would teach.
Yeah, exactly. So it's more about being able to go into the what, the why, the transformation, the new opportunity. Here's how it works from a 30,000 foot level. Not I don't want to show someone. In my case, I don't want to show someone how to put together the entire Facebook ad thing, because they're going to get totally confused. I don't want to put show them how to put together an active campaign sequence or a landing page, because they're going to be like, whoa, that is way too complicated, right? So we want to stay away from that.
Next question from Boris is, what's the best way to create an automated sales funnel? I know this is a huge topic. Maybe just give an example of what's working well for you. How have you automated the sales process for your courses?
Well, I mean, overall, anything you do really should be automated right from the get-go, okay? If you're using referrals, I mean, here's the thing. If you're going from being live to automate it, this is a real business for you at a certain point. But once you know that you have a validated market, you have some sales, you've generated some money, blah, 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 your marketing funnel, the only difference of it being live is the conversion method. Okay, and so the conversion method is your webinar, your phone call, your whatever it may be. In order for something to be evergreen, you need to make sure that the price is low enough where it makes sense for that person to be able to buy without getting on a phone or getting, in this huge email conversation or whatever it may be. So, I mean, obviously an evergreen webinar or a video sales letter or a sales page allows you to do this very, 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 very easily, very quickly. Our 5-day challenge is completely automated. It generates sales, every other day, if not every day. And so from that end, the only difference is that you're taking an element of intimacy out, which is okay because you're allowing someone to go through that funnel and go through that experience on their watch instead of your watch. So a lot of the time what we see is an evergreen funnel and a live funnel will not, like the live funnel will always generate more sales in terms of the conversion rate, but the evergreen funnel, people will go through it with more attention because, if you're doing a live launch from your course, the person might be on vacation and just don't care, but they still need it.
Diane is wondering, how do you make a 7-figure income from online courses? What automation needs to be in place? I think I'm going to expand this to what's different between a course creator who's doing maybe 5 or 6 figures versus somebody who's doing 7 figures. What's changed about their business, do you think?
Here's the biggest thing. If you want to be a 7-figure entrepreneur, you have to have an evergreen marketing system that works. So you have to have, an automated way to be able to generate leads. Number 2, you need to be generating a large audience of people, a tribe that's around you. Number 3, you really need to be as much as possible a big fish in a small pond. Okay, so that means that you really need to be kind of niched down to being a dominant player in a small market. Number 4, this requires that you need to have a team and you need to be able to start delegating and you need to be able to start, having a real culture around what you do. Number 5, you need to be able to get to your zone of genius. So you need to get all the stuff you're not good at and get away from that and be able to do what you're doing best. And then besides that, the rest is kind of mostly based upon financials and operations, right? So, most people that are at 7 figures, marketing is not what keeps most people from, let's say, $750,000 to $1.5 million. Okay, most people get stuck at 300,000, 400,000 if they do not have their marketing intact. Most people at 800,000, it's not the marketing that's their problem, it's the operations and their finances that's the problem. Okay, so everything in business, you have a roadmap, right? You have a roadmap. Here's my roadmap. Here's how I'm going to do something. Here's how I'm going to get from 0 to 100K. And you have a total, 0 to 100K. You're just hustling. You're just trying to get a little bit of traction. You're trying to get some momentum. You'll sell your course to anybody that's willing to buy. Then between 100K to $250,000, it's like, okay, I need to do some launches. I need to do some partnerships. I need to do some joint venture deals. I need to do some, whatever it may be. Once you're at $250,000, you need to be like, okay, I need a predictable source of leads that turn into actual customers on a day-to-day basis. Then you get to about $750,000 to $1 million, and you're like, okay, I can't run everything anymore. I need to have a team of 2 or 3 people, and I need to get to my zone of genius. And so, really at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, you never run out of challenges. Your challenges just kind of morph into being different than, the next person. You know what I mean? So, so that is a complicated answer simply because of the fact that there's not really one blueprint or one path from going to 100K to 1 million. It's really based upon sort of what your strengths, what your weaknesses are, and really what you want the business to be.
That makes a lot of sense. I think that's a really helpful response. And the challenges never go away; they just change as our business grows and as our business.
Oh yeah, the problems just get bigger, and people are always like, that's a good problem to have, and I'm like, hey, listen, I mean, even at the point where we're at, generating $400,000 or $500,000 a month, you know what, we got a lot. I have more problems now than I've ever had. But obviously, as you grow in your business, so does your resources. So you have the resources to be able to deal with those problems.
Jimmy is wondering if there's an industry standard for revenue share. So if you're working with referral partners or affiliate partners, what's kind of a ballpark that he should be sharing with his affiliates when he sells a course?
Well, I mean, this comes back to, I mean, I don't think there's any standard. You make the standard. If someone's willing to take 20% versus 50%, then go with 20%, right? The more profit you can generate, your job as a business owner is to generate as much profit as possible so that you can live a life of freedom. And by having freedom, it allows you to have impact. And by having impact, for the most part, that's what allows most of us entrepreneurs to actually feel fulfilled, right? So, but it all starts with profit. Most people are afraid of profit. Don't be afraid of profit. Profit allows you the freedom to impact the people that you feel called to serve. Okay. So when it comes to the percentage, the less intimacy required in the program or the course, the higher the percentage. So if it's a pure content program, it's probably going to be 50%. If it requires some group calls, it's probably going to be 30, 40%. If it requires one-on-one time, maybe it's 10 to 20%. So it's based on how much is your profit margin on that actual program, and then what will the market bear? Will someone willing to promote it for 20% versus 50%? And that's really just trial and error.
No, that makes sense. We actually had a few people ask about pricing. How would somebody know what to charge for their course? And maybe you've seen courses in different tiers. So what should we include in a course at, say, a lower tier versus a higher tier? Like, how do we know what justifies those different price points?
Testing. I think start low and keep going. And excuse me. I think at the end of the day that the easiest way to answer that is, test. I've tested 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000. I've tested all kinds of different prices. Obviously, the offer has been different. In terms of what you include, the higher you go up, the more intimacy you include. So, $1,000 or $2,000 program, it's hard to sell $1,000 or $2,000 program that's just content. You're probably going to need to include a community or group calls or something along that lines. If you go above 2,000, you're probably going to need to include some one-on-one time. Again, that's not a rule. I'm just saying that's the normal. So I think really what this looks at is, doing a webinar and trying one offer and doing another webinar and trying another offer. I've tried so many. My team hates me because I'm always trying offers and it always kind of messes up the logistics. And they're like, oh, we can't do that. I'm like, listen, we've gotten to the offer we are today, and we've gotten the profitability today because I've just kept on testing. And you got to remember, that's, for the most part, our job as an entrepreneur is to be to be a scientist inside of your business and always be testing.
Great advice. Ruby would like to know, what is the best way to re-engage an inactive email list?
Write a 10 or 11 email sequence over the span of 2 weeks. Make sure people can have the easy way out to unsubscribe, and make sure that in some level. So number one, you want to be polarizing to frequency. So you want to be kind of like, if they haven't seen you at all, you kind of want to almost slap them in the face a little bit and be like, hey, I'm here. You know what I mean? So that's one. And number two, making sure that in every single email in that, say, 10 or 11 email sequence, that they know exactly what you're about, so that you're jogging their memory of why, they're actually opening your emails. So, something could be like, hey, in the last 6 months or so, you downloaded my PDF, or you showed up to my webinar, and blah blah blah, and now I help you do X. You know what I mean? Hi, I'm Scott. I help 6-figure entrepreneurs scale to 7 figures using online marketing. And in the last 6 months, you downloaded my really incredibly popular Facebook ads guide, which you can download here, and then just keep going, right? So you almost kind of want to remind them oh, okay, fair enough. This person is bringing me value. And then once you have the, after that 2 weeks, you have unsubscribes, you have people that didn't open, then you have people that open. Take the people that open, continue, take your unsubscribes, delete them, and the the people that just didn't engage, you can decide what you want to do with them. You can put them on a slow nurture, or you can just say, you know what, we're not going to be able to save them.
Cool. This next question comes from Kathy. So if somebody doesn't have much of an advertising budget, how might they generate organic leads from social media?
So at the end of the day, here's really what it comes down to. You either have money or you have hustle, right? You either have money or you have time, right? So if you don't have money, you have time. In theory. And so, Most people have neither, unfortunately, right? So really what this comes down to is content and content marketing, and just consistently putting content out over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So, really it comes down to you knowing your stuff and you freely sharing your perspective on what's happening in your marketplace and what's going to be valuable to somebody. And just being consistent on that. And listen, it's a slow path. I don't have any hacks or tips or tricks to be able to make that go any faster. You want to be able to share as quickly as possible, as much as possible, and really kind of put really great content out there that you're proud of. Outside of that, honestly, I don't have a whole lot of, there's not a whole lot that listen, it's difficult at the beginning. That's why I say you want to get you want to be able to get money at the beginning instead of just building an audience.
And this ties back to your initial advice of just getting to conversations with people. Like if you got to send messages one person at a time through Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever platform you're on, and get on some phone calls with people. That seems like a way you could get some leads from social media without, you got to spend the time, but you don't have to spend the money in that case.
Yep, you got it.
Skip says he's getting a lot of traffic to his landing page, but it's not converting. What could be wrong?
Well, really, at the end of the day, whenever you're in a situation where you're not converting landing page traffic, it's typically due to the fact that wherever the person was coming from, no longer, like wherever they clicked for that landing page, it no longer on the landing page, the offer is just not compelling. Either the intimacy is too high, you're asking too much commitment from the person on the landing page. The place where you actually linked it from really doesn't make sense, right? For that person that's now on the landing page to put in their information. That's really that's really the reasons, right? It's not a compelling offer. And it's not a compelling offer, and it's not at the right place at the right time. And if you don't have those contexts kind of fixed, you're going to be at a place where not a whole lot of people are actually opting in. And here's another thing: most people put way too much stuff on their landing page. People aren't going to look at your landing page for 7 seconds, and they're either like yes or no. And if they're no, they're gone. If they're yes. So you really, really, really don't need a whole lot on your landing page. You're not trying to convince someone to buy. You're just trying to convince somebody that, hey, listen, let's start a little bit of a relationship.
Okay, cool. Cheryl wants to know, with so many different choices that people have and more competition in the online course space, what can she do to differentiate her course?
The biggest thing that differentiates your course is your customer service and you being able to help somebody in a higher intimacy way, right? So you can't, I can't remember who said this to me, but someone said to me, I will always do better than anybody else because I will out-care my competition, right? And I think in this age where knowledge is so freely accessible, that is the strategy. Like I'll give you an example, like our program, our $1,000 lead generation program. Most people, $1,000 lead generation program is just content. We give you access to our coaches for 60 days, 4 weekly group calls, our Facebook community, our What's Working, and an actual help center where you get every single one of your questions answered. So it's not like this group online where it's like, oh, here's all the stuff and good luck. Here's the content and good luck. When you come in, we actually help you and we actually, step by step work with you. And for $1,000, that's unprecedented in our industry, right? And so I think it's about caring more than the next person. And, that's that, as well as kind of being super sub-niched and making sure you're very, very relevant to your ideal customer.
Okay.
The course content, the bells and whistles, doing this or doing that, or the content, more content or more bonuses, all that type of stuff. It honestly doesn't affect the number of people that are actually going to say, we say, yes, I want to buy this.
Great advice. Mariella would like to know, where is the best place to find affiliates, or how might you approach, a potential affiliate if you're trying to get other people to promote your course?
Relationships, asking. There's no real place online where it's like, hey, will you sell my stuff, right? Maybe it's a Facebook group. Listen, at the end of the day, in 2014, yeah, 2014, I built a $1 million business by simply twice a week going and taking strangers out to dinner. I took 8 people, 8 people on Wednesdays and Thursdays. I invited them to dinner, complete strangers, and I built a network of 400 or 500 people over the span of a year. And a lot of those people ended up becoming my clients or referring people or whatever. It was because of relationships. Relationships are, one of those. I was $726,000 in debt about 4 years ago. The number one thing that allowed me to get out of that was the relationships that I built. And, it's the one thing the bank can never take away from you. You build relationships, you show someone that your stuff is relevant to their audience, and you actually care about their audience, and you care about their goals, and you care about whatever it is. I guarantee you're going to be able to get affiliates. And your best affiliates, your best partners are the ones that don't care about the money. They care about helping you because you help them.
Yeah, great point. Love it.
I've made, I don't know, at least 7 figures plus with other people, promoting my stuff. I've yet to have somebody that successfully promoted my stuff that cared any bit about the money. They were like, you know what? Scott allows me to help my audience, so I'm going to promote his stuff because I believe in him, I believe in what he sells, and I believe in the fact that he's helped me as well.
That's a really good point. And I think it would be good if we put it into perspective for people. How long they should expect it to take to build a relationship with people. I mean, you're not just like sending somebody that you've never met a message and then a week later asking them to promote your stuff. Like, could you just put it into context for us? Like, how long before a joint venture partner or an affiliate promoted you were you actually in contact with them and building the relationship and seeing, how you could help them and keeping in touch? Like, just maybe give us a ballpark there.
I mean, listen, it is all over the place. I mean, think about it. I met Greg, founder of Thinkific, July, I believe. And I think we did our first kind of like partnership thing together back in November. So what? So July, August, September, October, November. So 5 months. 5 months. And again, I didn't push it anything. I brought it up in a conversation once. Hey, you know what? I help a lot of course creators. And you have a software for course creation. Yeah, might be something there, right? I've had stuff that has taken years. I've had relationships where they just literally come to me and they're like, "Hey, I love your stuff. I've been watching your stuff, whatever it may be." Listen, it's kind of like they always say the rich get richer. It's true. And the more you are visible in your market, the more people are going to want to work with you. You know what I mean? The number of podcast opportunities, the number of interview opportunities, the number of partnerships, the number of people that want to sell my program. I say no more than I say yes at this point, right? And so, but it wasn't always like that. I've only been in this market for 2.5 years. You know what I mean? So, and I don't think that I'm lucky or special or like anything like from that side. It was quite literally one partner would then introduce me to 2 or 3 other potential people, and they would introduce me to 2 or 3 other people themselves. And you look back and 2 years later, you've done 100 JVs, and you're kind of there. But listen, I mean, there's no real kind of like, all I can say, don't be pushy. Look at how you can actually help someone. I believe most of us as human beings and inside of our businesses, we make more money by simply helping and serving other people. And if you stop thinking about yourself for a minute, you're going to make way more money and be way more successful.
That's awesome. Thanks, Scott. So we've got, we're getting through quite a few questions here. This is great. We've got more coming in on Facebook. And again, we are live. So if you're just recently tuning in, we are interviewing Scott Oldford, marketing and lead generation expert. If you want to ask him a question, drop it in the comments below the video. And I've got some more questions in front of me that we'll try to get to. And we've got a bit more time with you, so we'll try to answer as many as we can. Philip, I can see on Facebook, has asked, would you charge the same for an online course as you do for in-person training?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I mean, think about it. In-person training, you got to show up. It's not repeatable. You have to be there, all these different types of things. The lowest amount of money I've ever charged for anything in person has been $10,000 because I had to actually show up there. I'm an introvert. you may listen to me and be like, there's no way this guy's an introvert, but I am an introvert. So I don't like doing things in person. People got to pay me a lot of money for me to like go out of my condo in downtown Toronto. Just being honest. And so from that end, I don't think that it would ever make sense, because you have a lot of additional costs when you're doing something in person versus not doing something in
great
person.
Advice. Ben has a question about emails. Do you have any recommendations for how long the emails in your sales funnel might be, and perhaps some copywriting tips around, when we're writing sales copy for our email or for our sales page and so on?
Sure. So, I mean, my sales sequence, typically, I think our lead craft sales sequence is between 5 to 7 days, and it's about 11 emails. Now, people are like, 11 emails. Oh my goodness. Right. Listen, they wouldn't have signed up for the webinar if they weren't interested. Okay. Chances are they're only going to open 3 of the 11 emails. So if you only sent 6, they would have only opened 1 or maybe 2 at the maximum. So, and some people will find it annoying, and some people will unsubscribe. And listen, they aren't your customers. Deal with it, right? Not everyone's going to love you. So in saying that, so that's the first thing. In terms of copywriting tips, I'm the last person that should ever be giving advice on copywriting. I really am. I failed, high school English. I mean, I never went to university or college. I don't even know the fundamentals of writing. Like I'm lucky if I can get there, and write. 2 and 2. 2 and 2. I've never gotten those right in my entire life. So here's what I will say based on what I've learned, just in the limited amount of time and experience. Start with story-driven copy is huge. And then every single email, think about pain, the 4-part process of being able to get someone to buy something. Here's your pain. Here's the vision. Here's the gap. Here's the commitment. Okay. Every single email in some realm should, I won't say every email, but almost every email should have that level of understanding and that level of writing. And listen, at the end of the day, you don't have to be any pro copywriter to be able to get, great sales. I mean, I sold over $1 million of my course without even having a sales page. I literally had a SAM cart. This is before I used Thinkific. I literally had a SAM cart page that I would just bring people from the webinar directly to the SAM cart page. And it was like, it just showed, 3 or 4 testimonials, the bullet points of what they got, and that was it. So listen, don't worry. I mean, I think a lot of people worry too much about hiring a writer and hiring, and having nice copy and everything else. And maybe I'm lucky. I don't think I am. But overall, we only hired a writer June of 2016, like a year and a little bit ago.
Cool. This question came from a few people actually, and they're wondering if they're not prepared to spend money on ads, what are some of the ways they could drive traffic to their site other than paid advertising? And this kind of goes back to trading time for money. So what's some examples of like hustle that somebody could do to get some eyeballs on their offer?
Relationship building. People grossly underestimate relationship building. Just like get as many people on a 15-minute phone call as you possibly can. When I was down and out, when I had nothing, all I would do is try to get someone on the phone for 15 or 20 minutes. Most of the time, it would never turn into an actual sale, but it turned into another person that knew me. You can get a lot of 15-minute phone calls all day long, right? So get off of Facebook, get on the phone, or I should say, get off of browsing Facebook, get off of consuming information, and go out and do it. You know what I mean? I see so many people. I see people all the time. Here's another webinar. Here's another book. Here's another thing. Listen, most people get stuck in life and in their business and they can't get momentum. And you know why? Because they're looking for the next piece of information or the next tip or the next trick that's going to, be like, oh my goodness, there is none. There is none. There is no one trick or one secret, right? It's not like everybody that's at the top's like, hey, listen, we got this bag of secrets and we're not going to tell anybody. What it comes down to, the more content you consume, all right, and then this is probably bad because this is basically what I sell on a day-to-day basis, but the more content that you consume, majority of people consume as much content as they do because it's guilt protection, all right? Because if I read a book, I'm doing something, so that must be good. In reality, what you need to be doing is going out and meeting more people, getting on more phone calls, showing up. The bar in life is so low, right? The bar online is so low. All you have to do is show up and you'll succeed. Guarantee it. You show up consistently and get 1% better every single day, you're going to have a wildly different world and life than you do right now.
Lauren has a really good question. This one came from Facebook just now. She's wondering, what was your biggest mistake and how would you help others avoid that?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, number one, my mistake overall was not having mentors earlier. I invest a lot of money into mentors now. So that's the overall business piece. Marketing is not being specific enough to the person who I was helping. So instead of me saying, hey, and listen, this one still haunts me right to this day. Hey, I help anybody with lead generation. Here's my product. Okay. Well, you know what? Nobody really knows if that's for them. But if I tell you, I help coaches, consultants, and info creators that sell B2B, and I help them get to 6 figures and beyond utilizing online marketing, you're either my customer or you're not. It's a yes or no. It's binary. It's either on or off. That's what you have to create in your business.
Oh, that's great advice. And I think some people are afraid to narrow themselves like that, to go and, but it's counterintuitive.
Me too.
But what happens when you do is you're labeling yourself as, I'm the expert on this topic for this particular audience. And when that audience finds you, there's congruence there. Like they see you as the expert for them, not necessarily a generalist that's trying to help a lot of other people.
Well, you also get the special snowflake syndrome because now nobody knows what you actually do. So if they don't see that you're relevant to them, they're like, that's not for me.
Good point.
Then you're done.
So Scott, we've got just a couple quick questions here we've got time for because I want to be respectful of your time. Again, if anyone has questions for Scott and you're watching this after the live session, you're seeing the recording later on, still go ahead and leave your questions in the comment section. The team at Thinkific will keep an eye. And Scott, if you're able to, pop in, once or twice throughout the next few days and just see if there's any questions you can answer, that would be fantastic. This one comes from Donald. Do you have any tips on selling to large organizations or institutions? So kind of, B2B, I suppose.
Again, I don't do that anymore, but when I did, I've never sold e-learning or any type of learning, so I can't say I'm at the liberty to give advice on this because I don't believe in giving advice on things I've never done. But when I did used to work, when I was at a point when I was working with companies that did 10 to 50 million a year in revenue, again, it's all relationship building. It's knowing the CMO or the CEO or the COO. It's nurturing that relationship. And that's really it. I don't have any tips or tricks on how to get in front of those people. My best thing is how do you get them, everything in life. How do I get you to have a win, right? If I can help you get a win, then I got the in, right? That's a really good phrase. If you can help someone get the win, you have an in to be able to utilize that inside of your business or your life or whatever it may be.
Advice. We'll do one last question from Barrington. He's got a course that's 10 hours. He's wondering what he should charge for it. And maybe we could expand this to...
Sorry, who asked
Barrington.
that? What was their name? Barrington. Well, okay, so Barrington, if I came and I took 5 minutes and I helped you make $100,000 in the next month, would you still pay me the same if I made you spend 50 hours doing the exact same thing, but it was ineffective?
That's a good question.
Length has no association with value whatsoever. And it's a very old school way. It's a very scarcity versus mindset, scarcity versus abundance mindset difference, right? So if I can come to you and give you less information that creates the same amount of impact or even more, because you know what? If I made you go through 10 hours of content and the next person only made them go through an hour, well, perhaps they actually did the hour versus 10 hours. So I'm always trying to go for the least amount of content, the highest amount of impact. And, I have no idea how long my program even is. And I'm recording a new program right now. It's over 6 weeks. It's 90 minutes a week. and I would like to get that lower if I can, but I can't.
Okay.
Like time is very, very, very scarce. So don't price based on time. Price based on what will that do in that person's life.
I'm so glad you've mentioned that, and this is something we tell our customers as well, is their course should be the shortcut for somebody. You don't want to overwhelm them with so much content, maybe too much content to the point where they don't even want to buy your course, or they buy it and they never get through the whole thing. Give them exactly what they need to get the result that was promised, and I don't think they're going to complain how long your course was if it actually helped them get what they wanted out of it.
Exactly.
Well, Scott, this has been great. I've had a lot of fun. We got through quite a few questions here. Our audience was really excited to learn from you, and I think hopefully we gave them some good value from this. Now, again, the recording of this interview will be published on Thinkific's YouTube channel, Teach Online TV. It'll go on our blog as well, and we will leave the video on Facebook as well. So you can watch this, after the fact from Facebook, from YouTube, and from our blog over the next few days. If you haven't already, if this is your first time coming across Thinkific or seeing one of our videos, you can like the Facebook page, you can join our Facebook group, Thinkific Studio. And as I promised in the beginning, we do have a couple of bonuses we're giving for those of you who gave us your time today. The first thing we're doing is we're giving away 1 month free of Thinkific's business plan. This is the plan with all the bells and whistles. So if you're not yet a Thinkific customer, or you're on the free plan and you want to upgrade, we do have 1 month free on the business plan. You can try it out, and there's some free courses that we're going to give you as well. There's a course on how to price your course, and a course on how to get your first 30 students in 30 days if you're brand new to promoting your course. So we will link to that below the video, so keep an eye out for that link. Our team will be sharing it in just a moment. And Scott has a 5-day free challenge, a marketing funnel challenge, which you can find at goinfinitus.com. We will link to that below the video as well. I highly recommend going through this. Again, it's a free challenge, and in 5 days, he's going to hit you with some really, really valuable content. I went through it myself before we did this call, and I'm going to make some changes to my sales funnel for my course based on his advice, because it's really good stuff. So again, we'll link to that below the video. Goinfinitus.com for his 5-day marketing challenge. Those are the bonuses that we'd like to give you guys as a thank you for spending the time with us. So Scott, thank you so much, man. This has been a lot of fun. This has been a pleasure. I do think that our audience got some value from this. We covered quite a bit. I don't know if you've ever been hit with so many questions in this amount of time, but I think we covered some good ground.
Awesome. Well, listen, it was awesome. And for those that are here, I appreciate you taking your knowledge and your expertise and bundling that and being able to, distribute that to your perfect customers and clients. Because, at the end of the day, I believe in this wonderful, wonderful universe that we are in. The more knowledge we have that is easily accessible, the better lives that we have and the better society can be. So pat yourself on the back for kind of stepping up to the plate and saying, you know what, I'm going to educate and help more of the people that I can help. And while the journey may be slightly difficult and difficult at times, I guarantee you it is highly, highly rewarding. And you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. So with that, thank you so much for having me, and we'll definitely talk soon.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Scott, and to all the viewers, thank you so much for watching. If you want to join us on future videos, again, make sure you like the Facebook page, get on Thinkific's newsletter. We do want to do more of these Ask Me Anything or AMA style videos with experts like Scott. So let us know, what kind of topics you want us to cover, which experts we should reach out to, who you want to learn from. We will do our best to get them on these live trainings for you guys to help you with creating and selling your courses. So Scott, thank you so much. Again, if anyone has questions, or if your question did not get answered, our team will do our best to go over and answer the questions that were asked just on the video, below the video. And I'm sure Scott is going to keep an eye on it as well over the next couple of days. So Scott, thank you so much. Wish you all the best, and we'll keep in touch.
All right, we'll talk soon. See you later, guys.